this computer. Okay. And try to share again. Let's see, desktop window. I guess I want window. See, is it share? Oh, is it? I think it's doing that again. It's
Still doing
sharing
the
too
same thing,
much.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I installed a new Zoom and it just seems different. I'm not going to
Yep,
share my screen. I guess we all have the yeah, we all have yeah,
I have the agenda open, yeah.
yeah, the agenda, and I'll have to figure out yeah how to correctly share. But yeah, let's get into it, and let's see. We'll just use the agenda instead of just want to add.
Yeah, so it's basically still working on the 1358, create proper API around app parsing code for deployment method generation, which now really needs to be create test class because we need to incorporate a couple different things. For vehicles, we need to generate multiple test classes. And for non-vehicles, we also have to generate a test class with potentially multiple deployment methods because of the notion of a common app deployment that those classes are using that I ran into when I was testing the non-vehicle code generation. So there's a notion, and this is outside of the ant generation of the test artifacts. So it's a kind of it's a runtime behavior that is done by the TCK harness, which is basically analogous to what the Archelian deployment methods do. But again, it's hidden in code in ant build.xml file. So that wasn't amenable to simply being able to determine what the common vehicle is for a given test just by looking at the build.xml file. So I have to move or port some of that behavior from the test harness into the ant parsing library to do that. So another high priority item I need to create that actually people can start helping with is the hand coding of those common app deployment methods. Because if you look at which method is it?
The EJB 30 one that we were talking about.
Yeah, but I had an issue.
Let's
But
see. Yeah, let
yeah,
me
okay. This
grab it.
1384 issue. If you look at that,
Yep.
why is not pulling up? That's not pulling up on my browser.
Oh, I didn't. I stopped sharing because I was sharing both of my laptop and my screen.
No, yeah, I'm just trying to pull up the damn issue. No,
Number
Oh,
44?
no, 1384.
Okay.
It's like it's number 12 in the overall release tracker issue. But why can't I pull up the text?
You got a 404. Is it? Oh, it mustn't be in the TCK tools repo. That's the problem.
No, it's the platform TCK. God dang it! Why won't it pull up?
um, I I'll add a link to it. Let's see.
I'm
So
trying to. If I click on the issue in the project, it just is pulling up a blank page. Let me see if I can pull it up in a new tab. Yeah, okay, there we go. So yeah, so for example, this EGB3 test, which is a non-vehicle test. I generated the code for it, deployed it, and found something was missing, and I couldn't figure out what it was until I went back and ran the test against the EE10 TCK, and I saw it's deploying this EGB archive that's not referenced at all by the test package build and access files. I'm going, what the hell? But I found in the log the test harness was talking about, looking for a deployment, common deployment, and then I found the code that is doing that. So there's another properties file called common apps.properties. Is that what it's called? Common archive.properties. And so basically that's behaving a lot like the vehicles.properties file, which for a given direct root directory in the test package hierarchy, it identifies a common application that needs to be deployed for any tests that are under that package root. So this is the behavior I have to move into the AMP parsing lib such that a non-vehicle deployment may have a separate standalone archive that needs to be created with a separate Archelian deployment method. And I have somewhere on the 47 issue in the Jakarta TCK tools package, I show an example of what that test client needs to look like, where it has 2 deployment methods. And the bulk of this was generated with the current AMP parsing lib, but it's this to-do deployment method of this EGB common hello EGB jar standalone component that needs to be added in, because I had to hand code this in based on looking at the build.xml file from that was referenced by that common archives.properties file.
So it's going to be an extra step, basically, to check for each test to see if it's in the common, archives.
Yeah. So, but that's why I'm saying the API needs to be updated to just instead of returning just the deployment methods,
Mm-hmm.
it needs to basically return the test class file, the .java file itself. So, but as input, I'm going to need the test methods. So I'm going to have to I think what we're going to have, that's going to have to be input. What are the method names to override? So the way this is going to have to integrate into the open rewrite layer that's parsing and identifying the test classes, and then the test methods that have the annotation added. Those test method names need to be collected, and then when you're ready to generate the code, call out to the parsing library with those method names, and it will return you the source code for the class file, including the test methods with the JUnit annotation. And because there will also be additional annotations, there may have to be an Archelian annotation for the vehicle type. And that's another additional thing. So
are we on the EE10 TCK binaries and source at that point with regard to the source, or are we on the EE11 source at that point?
I guess it doesn't matter. The build.xml files are coming from the EE10 distribution, because you're specifying the EE10 home of the distribution to the ant library. I'm not parsing. I'm only parsing the build.xml. I'm not parsing the the Java source. So that if Open Rewrite is doing that, I mean, frankly, I think it could use either. I don't think
Yeah,
it really matters.
yeah. I was just thinking, I was taking the open rewrite recipe that I had, most recently updated, with the Java shrink wrap and just ripped out some of what I did, but that's basically going through all of the EE11 source files and checking, is this a test? And oh, it is. And then I was going to try and call the into the Parson library, um, um, but within mind. Yeah, I might need to, I have I have the mapping in that current layer to map from the EE11 package names to the EE10 ones because they are different and for some tests. And some changes have gone in and all that.
Yeah,
So I have mapping that I just do to, so I just need to know whether to pass in the right stuff for 10 or 11, I guess. But it'll be obvious if it's wrong, of course. But um,
yeah.
um,
I am using the test, the base, the the legacy Java test class as a base for the generated Archillian class. So there, I guess it will, that's the only place it will show up if the package name has changed between the EE10 and the current EE11 TCK refactor branch. I mean, so we'll have to sort through that. But I mean, the main thing is I got to get to the point where we can actually start generating this in bulk. And so
mhm.
it's still a blocker to get an API that is producing these class files now, because it's not going to be adequate to just generate the deployment method. So
Yep.
we,
Yeah.
we need to we need to work on getting that handoff working as soon as possible. That's why this is a blocker on the thing.
Yep.
But there are so what I was starting to say is though I will create an issue that people can start help contributing to, and that is for every one of these common archives defined in the that common archive.properties file, we need the deploy method created because it's not, I mean, I guess I could go through and try and write it, but I mean, this is a relatively straightforward task. So, I mean, that's something we could try and, parallelize and hand off
Definitely.
now. But, I mean, it's not a blocker in, in total because you're just going to have test errors, we can figure out later. But getting the transformation of a given subtree of the TCK refactor branch is the blocker that I'm working on now. And so that we got a handle on it. I mean, there's still a couple other big issues, that are going to have to be addressed and for people to actually be running. Let's say we have this stuff ported over from the parsing, the TCK rewrite package that we have. We still have to deal with, starting external services like the database. So we're gonna have to figure out how we integrate test containers, for example. And then I have added in the current layer, I do have the Sun specific descriptors added to the test deployment. So we are going to have, a vendor's going to have to supply an Archillian extension to map that to their vendor specific deployment descriptor. And they can either do that based on, actual transformation of it or how we do it in JBoss these days. Wildfly is, we just use the package and we already have a descriptor out there, I guess, that we look to because I pulled those out when I've had Kona to test that it actually works. I just go find that descriptor that we have in our CTS10 uh, repo and then use that. So either approach will work, but it's going to have to be integrated via an Archillian extension. So I think, so once those three things are done, then theoretically we can start, testing the TCK refactor branch and validating where the code generation is incorrect or missing things. Like, hopefully there's no other big issues like this. I need a separate archive to even, deploy the test or have the test run correctly.
Yeah,
Just,
that was kind of a surprise, this one that you just found. And
yeah.
I don't anticipate it, but I was thinking about it when I was reading about it, reading the issues and everything, that the info you put together, that we do have the jar to shrink wrap, that we could, if we have to, if that gives us something that we don't get off of from the ant library pass, and we could easily use both. And I was going to say one change I think that is helpful is to separate the um, walking through the archive tree from generating the output. And in the jar to shrink wrap case, I separated that out to kind of bring that out of the jar to shrink wrap code so that the output wasn't in that code. So the creation of the output test source would be separate. And so I'd like to try to keep keep that separated, but we'll see how it goes. By yeah, I don't. I think in the base class, in the new ant library stuff, the base class, the base archive class had I think we have accesses for getting at the contents of the class names and the property file names and the different pieces. So I was thinking, we would just walk through that, and we can add anything that's missing to that if we need access to that. But I don't know if that breaks anything. We didn't really talk too much about that, but that's one thing I was that I was thinking. Then we could get we could hack as needed, at the level that we're generating the code for some of the special cases that might come up later for test specific things. But
Yeah, I mean, once I get this, the blocker for uh, the EGB and basic tests that I've been looking at, I need to look at the persistence, because it's the one that uses a lot of vehicles, and I don't know. I mean, they seem to be similar, but who knows what additional things they require to run. I mean, obviously that's going to be one that needs the database running as well. So
yep, definitely. And just to answer a question, I'm just going to take a quick minute. Guru had asked on the TCK mailing list about why we need the vehicle classes, and I was just going to mention that each test runs under a particular vehicle, and the choice that we were going to make was we were going to generate our packaged common code to do the equivalent of, let's say, whether it's a web vehicle or EJB, or whatever code needs to go through to call the test code correctly for as the vehicle was doing. And I just wanted to sort of mention that. So by using the vehicle classes, we're going to keep using that that test invocation. So we're going to generate a test class per vehicle that handles that particular vehicle. So there's just one vehicle, there'll be one test class. No vehicles, still one test class. If there's multiple vehicles, like in the case of JPA, there are. Actually, and the signature test is another one. We'll have a test class per vehicle that invokes that code. For 12, can we refactor that code, sure. Yeah, that can be refactored, but we're saving time by not doing that. And
Yeah,
we,
we want to save time.
yep.
Yeah, because I mean, in other words, what would have to happen is we would have to, so basically, uh, the problem was that many test methods rely on setup that was done by the existing Java test harness code, to pull in the properties file and set a bunch of, state in what is equivalent to the Archelian protocol, which is why we wrote a Java test Archelian protocol, because that's the layer that's, handling how do I go from a JUnit invocation to an invocation on potentially remote EE container. That's what the combination of the protocol and the Archelian containers are doing. That Java test doesn't deal with. I'm sorry, that JUnit doesn't deal with, right? That comes in through an extension with Archelian and the protocols in the container. So I mean, it would just be a lot more work to unravel what those base classes are doing and how basically the invocation target in a container that then dispatches to the actual Java test or JUnit test method is doing, uh, would have to be dealt with. If we could just rely on what exists, it would simplify how much work we have to do, and it also, frankly, simplifies the updating of the TCK user guide, because basically we're going to use many of the same properties that were used. The only thing that's going to change is where we need specific Archelian things like the Archelian descriptor and this extension that I just mentioned to incorporate your vendor specific descriptors into a test archive. Okay, so that's the blocker. So I still need to create an issue. Where the heck? Yeah, I need to create an issue. So need issue for generating the common app archives. The test. What's the next thing? Oh yeah, another thing that I ran into, I just looked at, because we last week we talked about what the JMS TCK package, the changes that were done to it to convert it to supporting standalone JUnit tests. I mean, basically that code is just standalone JUnit stuff. I can't use it with the existing rewrite code, code generation framework, because it relies on there being the old Java test base class to dispatch the invocation. So basically, we need to restore the JMS TCK refactor module, and then that's just going to be for the integration tests, and you can just have the standalone TCK is what it is. But I created the porting issue for the JMS module. I updated that to reflect
S-
those
So,
status.
so I think the change there was to just prepare for the messaging test to run standalone.
Yeah,
Um,
which is
um,
fine. But what I'm saying is it replaced the JMS package that we were using for the EETCK with effectively just a standalone module. So we need
yes.
to store the code that was there in the refactor branch as the JMS module, and then we'll just update that using the same approach we have that we're planning to do for everything else. And then
Of extending.
yeah,
Um,
the JMS TCK is just a standalone TCK now.
okay, so it's not. I was just trying to figure out, if we needed to revert the pull request change or amend it? And it sounds like we need to amend it, not revert it. That's what I was trying to.
Well, I mean, the question uh, I mean, if we want a standalone JUnit based TCK, it's fine as is. I mean, the problem is obviously going to be that we have we're going to have some duplication of the code, because basically we have wrappers around the task code in two different frameworks. One just JUnit and one is Archelion. Because I mean that doesn't have any deployment to containers. It's just purely a JUnit thing that relies on a JMS tool that's talking to previously set up JMS servers. So it's not, well, it's testing whatever in framework you set up. It's not, the framework itself isn't launching an application server with a JMS feature in it, for example.
Yep.
And then there's some other, minor, well, not minor, but there's other refactoring tests and like removing web services and other things that we're not going to be porting over. The one thing that I have the high priority that I haven't actually created an issue on, because it kind of depends on when we want to bite the bullet and do this, is we should be switching the TCK refactor to be the main branch of the TCK, since this is
Yep.
what we're going to be delivering for EE11.
Yeah, we can just rename the branch name to main at this point.
Okay.
I think. And
Yeah.
master we can rename to something else. But
Yeah. EE10. Oh, well, is it even is the current master branch is still effectively EE10?
No, it's it's neither 10 or 11.
Okay,
But we need
some-
to sync the TCK refactor or the main branch, whatever it's called, with changes that we need that are on the master branch, like the CDI test, are all on there. We migrated them to the master branch. We
yeah,
definitely don't want to lose those.
We
We need
should
to
Yeah,
put,
capture this as a task on the board.
yeah, it is.
Okay.
This is that switching.
Okay. Can we
I
put
mean,
those details in the
yeah,
description or something?
could be subtask of it.
there were other changes made there that I don't, that I think was mostly Glassfish changes, but there may have been, I think there were some unneeded changes. I think the CDI change is the only thing that comes to mind that we need, but just don't want to delete it, delete the branch. I'd rather rename it for a few years or
Yeah, no,
delete it later kind
that's
of
what I was
thing.
asking. Is it
Yeah.
effectively EE10? But if it's not, it's just some weird sub branch. I don't know what it is, but yeah,
Well,
there's no
yeah,
reason to do that.
yeah. I mean, there was a certain point where we probably should have renamed TCK refactor branch to main, or master, whatever the branch name was going to be. But it's just a timing thing, and then everyone has to adjust, to the new name. Not it's not a big deal, but um, yeah. Oh, on issue 1352, was there anyone that wanted to work on that happens to be here?
Let me take a
Remove.
look. I had flagged several as possible for me to look at. Let me
Okay.
take a look at 1352.
What's the number? It's hard to find and look at the numbers.
That's the remove web services issue.
What's the
Move
number?
web services to a new location.
So
Well, yeah, I mean, I can do that.
okay, so I think it's just cloning the TCK refactor branch, creating a pull request against the TCK refactor branch to remove the tests we want to move to the other branch, and then in the other branch we end up with deleting the things that we don't want to move there, and but initially that's you know yeah, the important thing is to do the removal on the TCK refactor branch after the other
Mhm.
branch is created and pushed to the emerged into the platform TCK and
So Scott Marlowe, I'm willing to take this on if
great.
you can kind of mentor me and handhold me a bit, perhaps
Yeah,
even with a screen share.
yeah, that's perfectly fine.
All
And
right,
yep, that sounds good. And it would just be good to get them just off the table so that when
please.
we're looking,
Absolutely.
we don't see those tests.
Yep, it's fine. So assign this to me, and I'm going out of town. Well, tomorrow night. I'm taking off Friday. Tomorrow's Thursday, so I'm working tomorrow. Um, Maybe we could. Do you have any time to talk tomorrow to have like a one-on-one drill down session on this?
Yeah, we can
Okay.
talk tomorrow.
Let me look at my calendar. Let's get that scheduled right now. Actually, tomorrow's looking pretty open. So,
Let me just check I'm just busy at 11. I think it's
okay.
11 a.m. Let me just open my calendar on my phone instead of on the computer.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, let's
How about 9 o'clock then?
yeah, that sounds good.
All right, I'll send a Teams meeting invitation to you presently.
Great.
This will be great.
And I just want to also echo on the platform call this week, we asked what else can be removed from, or I should say, be removed from what we plan to do for E11 and platform. TCK, my response was it's too early to tell, but I just wanted to echo that the platform team discussion did ask that, and like the data the database setup is one, like having platform TCKs test that require implementations to update the Java source code
Mhm.
to set the database connectivity information seemed like something that shouldn't be tested, but that's my opinion, and there's different opinions on that. But whether we keep that or not, we could include Java source projects that implementations have to build after they've updated it, but it just gets hacky and hokey. And I just don't, think we should spend too much time on
I agree with you.
things that are low priority, have low priority test needs
Yeah.
associated with them. So I just wanted to echo that.
Actually,
That
let me put a little characterization here. I believe we should look at this whole effort in terms of basically building an MVP for the platform TCK, and we can be very aggressive to keep it minimal. So if you need consent or buy-in from the steering and spec committees, I'm definitely willing to advocate for keeping this to be like a very low bar, the lowest possible bar we can keep for 11, and then continue to make the bar stronger, raise the bar, that is, for 12.
yeah, my concern is that implementations will be the most vocal about keeping coverage, and
Mhm.
keeping hard to implement things. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think the database setup is a hard to implement thing. I think everyone does that, and if they don't do that, then their users are not going to use their implementation.
Mhm.
But anyways, yeah. So I do want to advocate for the implementations who do, who counter that, and I just want to make sure that there's a voice for them as well. That
Mhm.
we don't just cut everything that,
Yeah.
unnecessarily. And so there's the two groups you mentioned, specifications, like, committee and,
And steering
steering
committee.
committee.
Mhm.
And there's also implementations, which are represented
Yes.
on the platform
Right.
calls, I think. But so I just wanted to echo that they, yeah. I've heard it. I've heard both sides, and
Mhm.
it's good not to ignore that, that group as well. So just wanted to, be
Mhm.
supportive of those people too.
Another, actually, I don't need to see the issue. I thought I created an issue. Another problem we have right now is there's a incompatible configuration in the platform TCK CI job because we're running with Java SE 17 and the Glassfish version is requires Java SE 21. So every PR is failing because I put the error that's in the that I'm seeing in the issue I created, but I don't see the issue.
My question is there a system where we can redirect stuff so that just happens on the Glassfish 8.0 JDK 17 branch? Because of course, because of the rift with the Glassfish community, they weren't willing to move 8 wholesale to 17. So that's why we were doing that work on the branch.
Well, it's just whatever this the CI configuration. I didn't even look at what it is. I'm
Mhm.
just we're not using the right version of Glassfish, so that's fine. Just the CI YAML file needs to be updated to use the right version of Glassfish.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's all.
Okay. So pull requests I get in CI failures. I really didn't uh,
Yeah,
pay much attention to that
if you look
either.
at them, it's because of the Glassfish version. You know, the build is succeeding, and then it just can't launch Glassfish to run a couple integration tests. There's an issue somewhere, but I can't find it right
Uh, so,
now.
oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Let me add a link to
Here we go. Yeah, it's 1368.
um, example of PC of platform CKCI check failure. Now just I just happen to see one here. Oops. Uh, and so, so you get just paste in the error from there. So yeah, it's kind of long. Yeah, you get something like that. Yeah, JBoss unable to execute. Blah blah blah. So, and you said, is there an issue for that as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's 1368.
Let's see.
I'm looking at the YAML. I'm trying to see where we're pulling Glassfish. Okay, well, it's just a profile that's been created. There's a Glassfish runner profile, so it just needs to be updated to pull in the right version of Glassfish.
Please create an issue for that, and I'll make sure Aryan fixes it. Can we do that right now?
Yeah, there is one.
Okay.
Let's see. I'll add it to. Yeah, so it's yeah, platform TCK issues 1368, and we want to assign that to uh, Ariane. Oops.
1368.
Yeah, it was created 2 days ago,
Okay.
and I'll just assign it now, and maybe David as well. Yeah, yeah. I think that, yeah, that sounds like a good issue for or either one of them.
Okay. All the PRs fail. All right, I'm looking at it. I'll follow up with him and make sure he knows what he needs to do to fix this one.
Let's see.
Oops.
Yeah, yeah, that would be, yeah, that'll be good to address. Let's see. So I didn't really talk much about it in detail, but there's TCK tools issue 44, and yeah, for adding the open rewrite recipe, and just to yeah, talk about it a little bit more. So the idea there is that's going to use the ant parsing and allow like the open rewrite Maven, which I've been using a lot with the Java shrink wrap. Um, um, but allow us to like use Maven command to run the recipe against a particular subfolder. I mean sub test bucket to like say like translate all of the EJP30 or all the JPA tests in a single pass, and then you can try you can do a Maven build and see if it compiles, and yeah, which it should, of course. But yeah, you can do further work with the code you generated through that recipe. And I mentioned it in the agenda, but the reason why we don't just translate run open rewrite against all of the tests in all of the test buckets at once is because of a well-known open rewrite out of memory issue that you get when you run, when you try and do too much at once. And if you run in their environment, they use different code, and you don't get the out of memory because they basically, instead of keeping it in memory, they page it out to disk. And I don't know, it's like one of those things that people who are using that tooling will probably want to use their services that they where they can have the more enhanced running of that. And anyways, I don't think we really care. So, and the workaround is just to do a test bucket at a time, and that seems fine. In case anyone
Also,
was wondering.
does it work? Does it do out of memory if you just do a single module on the TCK refactor branch?
Oh yeah, you can do a single module. You can do a single like I did all the JPA tests. So
Okay,
that's a lot
just
of
not the whole
tests.
project.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, all right.
you have to break it into chunks because I made my memory heap like I don't know like 4 gig or 3.5 gig. Yeah, and if I made it bigger, which I do have more memory, I just don't want to give it all to it. But I could have tried to get it all, but I don't think I would have had enough memory to do all the tests in one pass. So
Yeah, well, that's fine because we don't want to do it that way anyway. We want to go module by module because I'm sure different issues will show up in each module, and we can have somebody assigned to a module, and they can work it through to conclusion, as opposed to just having a big mess that we have to get to some baseline usable state.
yep, and I'll just echo in I'll just add the command line that I'm using right now when I do run it, just so people can see that.
Yeah, so I mean, the critical path here is completing the ant and the rewrite tooling so that we can actually start transforming the test modules to produce the new code. And so documenting that, I mean, which really is not part of the TCK user guide. This is still a bootstrapping effort, but then we need to be updating the TCK user guide and go and document, okay, well, what do you need to configure to actually try testing this new updated module against your server? So that's where we're gonna have to iterate on, as people are taking on a module and testing against their server, updating the TCK user guide to reflect what needs to be done now to run the TCK for a given module. and what the requirements are.
I find it hard to believe that we will, yeah, we'll probably be down, heads down for a while, bug fixing and so as well. And like, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it takes a
um,
while
well,
to,
I'm sure the main issue is going to be, missing properties missing, or well, like I ran into a deployment's missing.
yep.
I mean, hopefully there's not going to be too more big issues like that. But I mean, the main thing that typically happens is if you miss a descriptor,
Hmm.
then stuff falls apart
Yep.
pretty pretty quickly too. So,
Yep.
but I'm frankly still a little bit surprised how well this is going, even though there's still a lot of issues.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, I was thinking, I was wondering if we should use a bomb for bringing in the EE11 specifications, and I think we have I think we have like a single artifact for the EE11 spec API. And I think typically we don't produce that until late in the
Yeah, but we have
cycle.
milestones, and I mean, at this point, a milestone is effectively the final because there's
Yeah, because
no component specs that are active.
the idea and the reason why this is, I think a good idea is instead of specifying the individual specs, we would bring in all the specifications, um, through it, and then we don't have to.
You mean the individual versions?
The individual versions of the
Yeah,
different specs, and like
yeah,
for
for
signature
sure.
testing and
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
um,
That's a good idea. Yeah, I mean,
um,
create an issue on that actually.
and
And so the one thing is, I mean, when can we switch the TCK refactor branch to main?
I'm ready. I think we can just pick a date and then email people, say it's going to be next Monday or something like that, and then.
Yeah.
But it's mostly everyone who's on. Mostly it's you, me, Guru, Alwyn, Brian. Probably I don't know. You might have work pending. I don't know.
Well, I
Um,
guess that's the thing is if anyone well, we do have a bunch of PRs, right? Do the PRs automatically get updated if you rename the branch? Do they just work, or I can't
oh,
remember how the GitHub
I
rename
don't.
works.
I don't remember.
'Cause that would be, I guess, the big issue is do we need to clear the outstanding PRs before we can do this? That's the main question, I guess.
um, Yeah, because so I guess the source, like the individual's topic branches that are in individuals repos, the source is not the issue. It's just the target. So
Right.
I would think GitHub would handle that, but I'm not really sure. I don't
Well, we
remember.
name I think it does because we did this in Archelion.
Hmm.
We renamed we in like the Archelion Cube project, they had a 2.0 branch, and we just switched it over, and I think it just worked, but we need to verify it.
Yep. Um, So I, yeah, and if it doesn't, then yeah, we would have to manually go through and update the branch for each pull request. That reference that TCK refactor branch to the main branch, but I mean
Oh,
I don't think we need to wait for that.
well, they'd have
It's
to update. Yeah, the person who created the PR would have to change their branch, right?
uh I
It
think
doesn't,
I think I can edit that. I think I can
I'm
edit.
pretty sure that the branch in your fork is definitely going to update automatically. What I just don't know is if the PR maintains that indirection. And maybe we could just do a test.
Yeah. Oh, I can ask Brian Stansberry. He did it for for Wildfly, I think, when we renamed from
Okay.
master to
Yeah.
main.
Okay.
And oh, we can just do a test. Yeah, I guess we could do a test and see. Yeah, that's actually easier. Yeah, I won't bother him. Yeah, I'll just do a test. Um, I'll create a PR against a new branch and then do it there and see what happens.
Yeah,
And
rename.
then delete the test branch. Yep. Yeah. But
All right.
anyways, yeah, let's do that soon.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's try and get it done by sometime next week. But yeah, so did I finish my thought on what the critical path is? We
Sorry.
just get,
Could
I can't remember if I finished my thought on what the critical path was.
I'm not clear on what the critical path is. I just know that I'm trying to do my little bit of helping.
It's certainly
Oh,
the blocker issues, which we have to get to the point
okay.
where we
So the
can
issues are
run.
blocker on the board. They're tagged as
Yeah,
blocker. Okay.
yeah, and any linked, I mean, several of them linked to other issues. Yeah, so we need
Retype the
to,
filter.
but basically in a nutshell, we have to get to the point where we're able to run the TCK tools, in a Maven profile on the individual test modules to generate the updated Archelian JUnit code, make sure and have that compile is step one. I mean, then I think it gets out of the blocker, and that's just a question of bug fixing and improvements as people test that updated module code against an implementation.
So the only item I see in the in review column is blocker is 1358. Create proper API around ANT parsing code. Is that the one we're discussing
Yeah,
now?
yeah,
Okay.
that's the main issue.
Yeah, that one's beyond me to understand at my current skill level.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a hairy thing.
Mhm.
I mean, that's months of effort went into
Mhm.
getting the point that we even, have that API. So
Okay.
Is the TCK tools integrate the TCK rewrite ant into the
yeah, that's
okay.
done.
I mean but that's the one, yeah, that yeah, issue 4044. Does that need to be on the board?
Oh, no,
I don't
that's the one I signed to you. No,
yeah.
that's part of this blocker. That's part of
Okay, so that's already
the,
covered by the blocker. Okay, so I
yeah,
didn't
it's
know
linked to it.
if we needed
Yeah.
to. Okay.
No, that's the work we have to do to get a handoff. And so the main thing that I see I need now is when there's going to have to be input from the open rewrite parsing to give me the method names of the base class that are going to be um, going to have to be annotated with the JUnit test annotation.
Hmm.
Because then I have to create the code using the template, because potentially I need to add Archelian annotations as well.
I have I have a set of the methods that of the test methods
Okay, perfect.
in hand already. So
Perfect. All right, yeah. So basically, that's going to be one of the inputs. I mean, I think that the only inputs right now are the TS home and right now it was still lower level where you're generating per method, so you have a test class, but now it would just be the test package
hmm.
and then the methods that you want
Yep.
overridden for the JUnit 5 stuff, and then I can generate the test class. But let's uh yeah, let's try and get that working on one of the smaller modules ASAP. Like actually signature test. The problem is the signature test has other issues. Um, but it's fine. It's running. I don't really care if it's failing. It's running. Let's use that. Let's try and get that working with the module because that's only a few tests. Actually, it's only one test for Java EE 5. I mean, sorry, Java EE 11. Jakarta. There's just the Java EE version of the signature test. There's a bunch of other signature tests for other footprints, but there's just that one signature test class that has 4 vehicles. So we can get that running with the framework. And then, I mean, we will have to do one non-vehicle test too, but that would be a good starting point.
So, and I was just, I mentioned it in the platform call yesterday. The remaining EE10 on Java 21 issue is that faces issue. And I just, I keep getting pulled away because that's important. And I've been spending a lot of time on 21 and EE10, and I know others are looking to run on 21 as well with EE10. But that's just like the remaining thing, and there's nothing really left for me to do much. I created a pull request. I don't know if it's valid or not because I can't build the faces TCK.
So you need Arian to review it and merge it?
I don't know who, but I mean, I pinged Ariane again on the issue.
Okay.
It's not that he needs to review my change. It's more that I couldn't build, and I thought it was my environment. But I think what we figured out is that it's just not, something on the faces branch is just not right and needs to be corrected. And it just seemed like we need to accept the TCK challenge and let the errors happen
Okay.
and just accept that. That'll be a workaround to ignore them, which I hate because I hate failures.
Yeah.
But I have
So
to.
who needs to take action to accept the challenge? Does Arian need to do that?
He could as lead
Okay.
of the Faces team,
Okay.
but it just it keeps showing up on my radar. That's all.
Okay.
So just I'm looking to be heads down on this, completely, and just mentioning that that's a that's a distraction for
Mhm.
me still, that to keep looking at that. But I think other than that I should be able to be I'll get this done. I'll go get the open rewrite stuff. I started looking at it yesterday and started coding it, and then yep, I'll definitely push on it.
Well,
Okay.
I'll ping you as soon as, so I need to do another update to the API that's dealing with this common archives problem. And then update the API to actually return the complete class file that needs to be written out. So as soon as I have that pushed out, then I'll ping you on trying to get that integrated into the signature test branch via the Maven plugin to see how it works.
Great.
All right, we're definitely over, and then that's pretty much the status for the week anyway.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
I'll talk to you tomorrow, Scott. Thanks for your time.
You too.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.